Duke wants to come out aggressive and early and close this out.
Duke at 14-1, 3-0 in the ACC. SMU winning the opening tip. They're 12-3. They just popped into the top 25 after a win over North Carolina, but then they lost on Wednesday to Clemson by 4. Getting it downstairs for B.J. Edwards, and a nice start as he knocks down the two-pointer. So we welcome you here to Cameron Indoor, just underway inside the opening half minute of play. Duke at number 6 in the country taking on number 24 SMU. They have to play without Boopie Miller, their top scorer, their top player. He is out with the flu, back in the team hotel here in Durham, North Carolina. We will not see him today, Jay Will.
Yeah, he was playing at All-American level, scored or assisted on 57 points versus North Carolina last Saturday, leads the ACC in assists per game, an absolutely dominant player who finds a way to impact the game in a variety of situations, also by getting to the free throw line. I think this is a huge miss for the Mustangs.
And a turnover here defensively. Duke among the best in the country, thrown away by Cayden Boozer, who comes in averaging 23 points, number 1 in the country, 10 rebounds a game. A quick turnover here for the Blue Devils.
Well, for SMU to have a chance to win this game being shorthanded, Deron Pierre Jr. has to be prolific. Same with B.J. Edwards. Two guys that can really impact the game with their scoring ability, and off to a strong start to start.
First jumper on the way here by Toombs. He's going to knock that one down on target from three-point land. And a good start here for the Mustangs.
You know, OB, I said the biggest thing is this first 10-minute stretch for Duke. When a team is shorthanded, hope is the most dangerous thing you can give them. And if you allow them to stay in the game early, they're going to believe that they can stay in the game the entire game.
Well, John Shire, the Duke head coach, has mixed up his starting lineup. That's interesting when you're 14-1. They swing it for the corner jumper, but off target here by Foster. They'll get a second look. Dame Sarr, the freshman, in the starting lineup, and so is Malik Brown. He liked the way they closed out their last game defensively. SMU with their starting lineup, and as Jay Will says, they can score. They're getting about 90 a game. On target is Edwards. He's 14 points a game. Now, what a start here for the Mustangs as they lead at 8-0. This is exactly what they wanted to do. Foster on the baseline. He'll swing it for Boozer. Got a good look. Can't hit it. He's making about 37% beyond the three-point line. Toombs with the touch, the turnaround in the lane, gets it to go, and a foul as well. So the big freshman will be headed to the line.
We talk about the sense of urgency for SMU to come out making their first several shots. Obviously, John Shire right there, his 4th season as Duke's head coach, fastest coach to 100 victories. We talked initially, OB, about the defensive presence, and I think that's what John Shire is trying to find with his starting lineups. Some lineups are better offensive-minded lineups. Other lineups are better defensive-minded lineups. This lineup was supposed to be better defensively minded, but you don't see the same sense of urgency and everybody being down in the stands at SMU taking advantage of it.
Toombs, the freshman from Amarillo, Texas, off to a very quick start with 6. And 11-0 SMU. You would have thought because of the loss of a great player for the Mustangs, this score would be reversed. And finally, on a long bomb, Isaiah Evans will knock it down, and Duke is on the board.
Evans' last 2 games averaging 25.5 points per game, just shooting the ball prolifically, but also changing it up, driving to the rim as well.
Fumbled out of play by Edwards, so a turnover for the Mustangs. Andy Enfield, year number 2, successful stops at Florida Gulf Coast, of course, famously Dunk City and USC. That brought him to Dallas, Texas. They won 24 games last year, did not make the NCAA tournament. They had their eyes on March Madness this year and off to a great start, as that will be out of play. Roger Ayers talking with Enfield here. Enfield pretty animated. It will go the other way. So that will be SMU ball.
Andy Enfield had the opportunity to coach Ronnie James a couple of years ago. You think that was a learning experience, having a guy like that on your unit at USC?
Can't imagine what that was like.
Obviously had huge success over at USC as well. led them to 5 NCAA tournament appearances in 11 seasons, including the 2021 Elite Eight with Evan Mobley.
Iguodala will take the hit here, and the foul will go on Brown. On Malik Brown, that's 2 fast fouls. So in some trouble right away and heading for the bench after getting his first start since his Syracuse days today. Up top here for Pierre. He can be a really good scorer. He's 18 a game.
He loves to operate in that slot space, the extended elbow. And when he's isolated, if you don't force him to go one way or the other with the ball, he's going to have you on a string back and forth. One of the best ISO basketball players in college basketball.
Playing for his 4th school at SMU to the midcourt line, and Toombs corrals it. A 13-3 start for the Mustangs. All 5 of their starters average in double figures. It falls off drastically after that, but their starters, they can drain it. A misfire by Washington, who's one of their best 3-point men. Evans again, a little hesitation, went for the bank and draws the foul, and he'll be off to the line at 16:04 to go here in the first half at Cameron Indoor.
You think about that hot start that SMU had against North Carolina, where they shot 60% from the field. Sarr, one of the best perimeter defenders, so impactful their last game against Louisville. But if you don't force him to either just go left or right, he can dance with the ball. And that's how an offensive player who operates in the ISO situation, that's how he finds his rhythm with that dancing.
He had 24 and 6 in the overtime win at Mississippi State. So he could fill in some scoring gaps today, led by Boopie Miller. 18 points, 5 rebounds a game coming into play today. Evans at the line, where he makes 90%. Duke today going for another win over a top 25 opponent. They've beaten Michigan State, number 7, Florida, number 15, Louisville, number 20, number 25, Kansas, and number 22, Arkansas. Pierre on the wing. Iguodala looking inside. He's 7-2.
Duke not switching anything. They're fighting through every ball screen, part of the scouting report today.
Iguodala with shot clock at 3. Edwards has to get a shot in the air to his right, and he's going to travel with it. Exceptional defense by Duke on that stop. So 15:34 to go. SMU with an outstanding start, but Duke creeping back in it.
We talked about the sense of urgency defensively for the Blue Devils. SMU has came out pretty strong, but Duke trying to pick up the intensity. Boopie Miller on the court. SMU could not have asked for a better start to this basketball game. Jaden Toombs knocking down multiple threes. You're seeing him work down low on the block, going against the National Player of the Year and Cayden Boozer, and then coming up a high ball screen. Duke is supposed to blitz those ball screens to get the ball out of the hands of guys like Pierre Jr., one of the best isolation scorers in the country. And SMU with a hot, blazing start to this game.
Duke, by the way, is yet to take a 2-point shot. This is one thing that Jon Scheyer talked about after the last game when they rallied to beat Louisville. They settled for too many 3-pointers in the first half. They were only 5 out of 17. 1 of 5 from 3 so far here this afternoon.
We're also talking to Jon Scheyer earlier today. He said they've been having one of their poor stretches defensively. the last several games at Florida State, at Louisville, haven't really been clamping down on that side of the floor.
Patrick Ngongba getting free in the lane at 6'11". And Duke making their way back in this thing after a great start for the Mustangs. B.J. Edwards was at Tennessee on a Sweet 16 team a couple of years ago. Toombs with another touch. The talented freshman up against Boozer, knocks it down.
He is super poised down low on the block.
Toombs came in averaging 70. Already has 8 in the first minutes of this one at Cameron Indoor. So not intimidated by the surroundings, the freshman.
You think Toombs has something to prove against the Boozer twins, considering they lost in the national finals last year of high school basketball?
I think that is the case. And another one of the Boozers on target.
I really do believe that Cayden Boozer is the missing link for this team. His progression and maturity from the point guard spot, considering he's a game manager, is what could really take Duke to the next level.
Boozer got it. Semenya in the corner, knocks it down. Freshman out of LA on target. And don't look now, but Duke is pulled within 3. Pierre up top for Edwards. He draws the double. Duke really active these last several possessions on defense. And on the line, Pierre will turn it over. That's already 5 turnovers for SMU.
And you got to love the ability to put the ball down on the ground and make plays. And Ngongba doing a really good job creating the contact and then finishing through contact. And then Cayden Boozer, we talked about his vision and playmaking ability to kick the ball to a corner for a quick 3.
So Duke with an opportunity to tie this one up after a bit of a nightmarish start, but they didn't exactly panic. Boozer with a one-hander. Up and in by Ngongba. We'll call that an assist. I don't know what Coach K called it.
Well, he would call it a lot of other things that are not rated PG.
I know you heard a few of those in your day as well. Toombs with it. Pretty good battle early here with Boozer. Duke wins that fight. And Menya stumbles, and it's going to go the other way.
Those are one of those young plays. And Menya, obviously a talented player, but that's a 1-on-3 situation. And there's really nothing there trying to force that. You pull the ball back out, and you get a more efficient possession. You know, he's going to be critical to their team. Obviously had an ankle injury against Florida, has been trying to recover from that all the way through and through. But his defensive ability, his ability to win 50-50 balls and extend the floor with his outside shooting is going to be critical to this team as well.
Gutolo trying to get position underneath, able to do that.
Wow.
He'll slam it down. Samedi Gutolo 7-2 from Istanbul. Coming off a good game against Clemson. They lost the game, but he went for 14 and 11. Tipped out of play by SMU at 12:13 to go in the first half. And a game that started on an 11-0 run for the Mustangs. Since then, Duke has outscored them 14-6.
You know, Gutolo, you talk about a guy 7'2", 270 pounds, takes up so much space, but he's mobile, coordinated, and skilled around the basket. You saw that with the multiple head fakes and the patience down low on the block.
Ngongba is going to fire it up there. Got an excellent long look, but couldn't drain it. He had been 5 for 17 beyond the 3. Gutolo outside. Long range jumper on the way and off the mark by Jermaine O'Neal Jr., who was coached by his dad in high school, the NBA great.
I'll tell you, how many teams have a big like that can create off the dribble in transition and have the confidence to create contact and get to the free throw line?
SMU 17-14 against the Duke Blue Devils at Cameron Indoor. A family affair. More on that when we come back.
He's listening to Jon Scheyer, and Carlos, listening to CC, the mother of both Cayden and Cameron and Carmani Boozer. You think about some of the top players. Jermaine O'Neal Jr. played against his father with Indiana Pacers. You know, Pippen, Scottie Pippen, obviously. The names go on and on and on about the next level talent that has came from NBA talent in the ACC.
Remains to be seen if they can grow the same caliber of beard.
It's a quality
beard. And they're working on it.
It is. Well, you know, Carlos was supposed to be my roommate freshman year. Then he met CC at the beginning of freshman year and pretty much spent my freshman year alone. So that's how that went there.
I didn't realize that.
Can you tell I hold some kind of animosity towards that?
Got jilted a little bit, I think.
Yeah. One of the strongest beards in college basketball, Carlos.
National champ with you in 01. And Shane Battier, who is here today, and he's going to join us after the half as well. Of course, Coach K. Here's Boozer. Cayden Boozer will draw the foul on his way up to shoot. So he is off to the line. What a team that was. 2001 national champs, won 35 games. He was a player of the year, and so was my partner. They split the player of the year, the national player of the year. That's like unheard of.
Well, Shane was definitely the bona fide leader of that team. And obviously this is their 25-year reunion of that 2001 national championship team. That's Mike Dunleavy right there. Third pick in NBA draft. Also the general manager for the Golden State Warriors. And, you know, we were going to Coach K's house last night for a lot of vino. And it's funny, we all sat in the same places on the bus that we did as former players. And it makes you just very thankful for the time we had. And also make you remember how talented we were as a team.
That's amazing stuff that you went to the same spot in the bus as you were as players. A little following here by Washington, and Duke comes away with it. They have their first lead. They're trying to add to that. And that's going to go the other way, and offensive. Right in the middle of the championship banners. That 2001 team. You guys had some wars with Maryland that Coach K, I'm sure, can give you a blow-by-blow on every single set. Those games were amazing.
Well, we had 4 games against Maryland that year. We lost to Maryland here on Shane Battier's senior night. We beat them at College Park. Something called the Miracle Minute, which is one of the greatest games to watch. We then beat them again in the ACC championship, and then we were down 22 points against them in the Final Four. Juan Dixon, Steve Blake, Chris Wilcox, one of the best all-time Maryland teams they've had. And then they won it the following year after we lost it again.
Iguodala rolls for the hook on a back down. He can't get it to go.
Iguodala got away with the walk there.
He likes that around the back move. And Cam Boozer held up and fouled. He's 23 points, 10 rebounds a game, Boozer is.
It's so impressive, OB, when you watch him play. He is one of the strongest bases in college basketball. He never gets off balance. He can play through contacts, and also the versatility. I mean, he has so much power that he can bulldoze his way to the basket, but also has a dexterity to put the ball down the ground, and with being an elite passer, just an all great package collectively.
Those legs are tree trunks, man. Good luck moving him. And a turnover. SMU trying to get the lead back on a long run. It's tipped away from O'Neal Jr. Get a second chance. Toombs on the baseline, tiptoeing. Edwards caught it. Iguodala back inside, batted away from him, and a foul on Duke with 9:58 left in the half. Shane Battier, what a player, and what a career here at Duke. Over a 4-year period, he won more games than anybody who had played at the college level.
Yeah, one of the smartest players I've ever played with, and I think people will get a chance to kind of hear him think through the game and obviously talk about the differences between where the game is now as opposed to where the game was back then. But still, one of the best defensive players to ever play the game of college basketball. And his offensive game met the quality of his defensive game by the time he was done with his career.
Darren Harris, sophomore out of Virginia, now into the fray here for Duke. Cayden Boozer handing off. Mentioned that Dame Sarr, the 6'8" freshman, got the start today. Great ball movement underneath and a foul. Got it free to Ngongba. He went for the dunk, and he's headed for the line where he makes 65%.
And once again, Cam Boozer able to put the ball down on the ground and make a play, and then the next pass by Sarr. And that's a type of finish you want from a guy like Ngongba. Don't shy away from the contact. Go into it and get to the free throw line.
Niumatalou with his second foul, by the way. And Ngongba, the indoor, the only one today that features both teams ranked in the top 25.
But I'll tell you, OB, I keep oscillating back and forth between who the #1 pick in the NBA draft is going to be when June comes around. Watching Darren Peterson play the other day against TCU, he was phenomenal at 32 points. And watching A.J. DeBonta while also watching Cayden Boozer, just so much talent at the top of this draft. Really some of the most talented freshmen we've had in the game of college basketball in a very long time.
If I force you to make a pick right now, #1, who is it?
I would probably take Darren Peterson for his ability to play off the ball. It's the most efficient jump shooter there is in college basketball, but also you're not going to have 2 to 3 guys sit in the paint. And the explosiveness that he showed me the other day is very different than any other player in college basketball. Now, look, I could be wrong. A.J. DeBonta there, too. Same with Cayden Boozer. Kingston Fleming, I think, in that conversation coming about. How many freshmen do you see play for Kelvin Sampson and actually have the luxury of them giving him the ball and making quality decisions? So a lot of talent out there in the 26 NBA draft.
Cayden Boozer splitting the defense. He'll head to the line. And count among his many fans, Andy Enfield, the head coach at SMU, is raving about him in the locker room before the game. He said the difference maker with him is he is so polished offensively. What a game he has offensively.
It just feels like the game is slowed down for him. And a lot of times, they'll be as freshmen, the game goes 10,000 miles per second. It's like watching frames, right? And I think for certain players, they have the gift of being able to see it frame by frame. And that's why he's such an elite passer. And he's a multi-tool player for this year.
Best laugh I got all week was preparing for this game and writing his name in as a freshman. It's coming off one of those performances that makes you laugh about that. 27 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists in 39 minutes in a road win at Louisville. They started out 11-0 SMU, but since then Duke has dominated 14-2. And now they lead at 21-17. Mustangs need an answer. Again playing without their #1 man. Boopie Miller out with the flu. Edwards with a shot clock at 1. Knocked away by Sarr. And a shot clock violation. More tough D for the Blue Devils.
So many players think that they have to make an impact just on the offensive end. And when you've got a chance to watch Sarr play in the second half against Louisville, he absolutely shut down Conwell, who had 16 points in the first half. And Jon Scheyer and company think that his most impact he can have on the game is his size, his length, his lateral quickness, and his ability to lock in on defenders on the defensive end.
They played 26 minutes off the bench against Louisville. He drew praise from Scheyer for his outstanding D. As you mentioned, that's the biggest reason he got the start. The slam on great ball movement again, and it's Malik Brown with the dunk. And look out, Duke is starting to grab momentum in a big way again. Knocked away in midcourt. Sprawling for it. Great play there by Sarr. Gets it free to Brown, jumping in the lane and draws the foul. And Dame Sarr lightened it up with his defense and his hustle.
We talked a lot about the impact that Damassar can have on the game defensively. What great discipline, staying down, getting to stop, and then 50-50 balls. These are the differences between winning and losing games, sacrificing your body. And what that does is that provides a pep of energy for your team. Look at the body language of a guy locked in on the defensive end. And defense translates to offense. And that's what Jon Scheyer talked a lot about today. He's like, hey, sometimes we go back and forth between our lineups, defense, offense. But when we're locked in together defensively, that's when we're at the best version of who we are.
Now, Duke has already forced 11 SMU turnovers. Brian O'Connell over there with the SMU staff, as Malik Brown will go to the line.
And also, as a player, I know fans at home, you hear us talk about diving on the floor for the loose ball. It's a really hard thing to do, right? Because you have to, so many players bend over at the knees for the ball. It's natural. It's unnatural, right? It's very uncommon to sacrifice your body and get those 50-50 balls that can turn the swing of games.
Missed the second one. Infield was wondering who that foul was on moments ago. 24-17 Duke. Blue Devils trying to go to 15-1 and 4-0 in the ACC. Pierre on the drive. The banker won't fall. Bungo with a nice save, just standing practically on the baseline. Duke with a chance to add to the lead. It's Sarr. Can't drill it from the corner. Duke coming in ranked in the top 20 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. Their defense has led this comeback from an 11-0 hole today.
And look how far their offense is extended by Duke's pressure on the perimeter now. Now everything's uncomfortable for SMU. That's not the way it was the first 3 minutes of this game.
Igatola, 1 foot in the paint. No, that won't go. Brown with the save, right back to the big. He'll hook it up and in.
Tough save by Malik Brown. If anything, you don't save the ball under your own basket. If anything, you throw the ball deep towards your basket.
Cayden Boozer poked away in midcourt. And it'll be Duke ball. So this falls under don't do this.
Yeah, well, he's trying to throw it off the player, but once again, if anything, throw the ball deep. Throw it deep the opposite direction. Give your team a chance to do it. There were 3 black jerseys under their own rim.
It's something that the 0-1 Duke Blue Devils never did once.
I don't know if I can claim that nationally. I made a lot of bonehead plays, OB.
Could have been too many. Boozer from three-point land and knocks it down with the shot clock expiring. But when you can do that as well at 6'9", along with the inside game, suddenly he has 7. And where is it? Who is it going to be going to? It's going to be SMU to keep it.
The shot clock dwindling down, being contested, showing you that ability to play inside and out, just a complete package. I'll tell you, one of the most efficient players in all of college basketball. His net rating is higher than the past 5 National Player of the Year net ratings by 5 points.
Edwards up against Sarr, and that'll rattle home. They need a lot more of that out of B.J. Edwards. He has 7 points. He came in averaging 14, and you're thinking, well, without Boopie Miller, these guys really have to have huge games out of the backcourt. Guys like Edwards, as Evans went inside and knocked away from him.
And just a guy who is close to a 7-footer. I mean, look at that release. Look at that touch. Look at the ball rotation here. I think that's why a lot of NBA scouts are salivating over the ability of Cayden Boozer as a complete player.
Evans, yes, sweet touch there, 2-pointer. 27-21. They'll take a look at that during the timeout, 3 or 2. And a reach and a foul here on the freshman Sarr. With about 5.5 to go before halftime. And we have another tremendous ESPN women's triple header tomorrow afternoon. Number 22 North Carolina and Notre Dame. Then number 12 LSU hosting Texas. And the afternoon wrapping up with Duke and Stanford at Maples Pavilion.
You think about Isaiah Evans. He's made 10 threes over the last 2 games. The rest of Duke has made 9.
Rainbow jumper, that won't go for Edwards. Second chance is up and in. Good work underneath. Able to hang in, and it looked like about 5 minutes ago SMU might be run out after their great start. That has not been the case. Evans looking to penetrate on the spin. The kick for the open shooter. He'll drill it from 3-point distance. (32-23) and another turnover by SMU. Evans in the open floor. Sarr with the kick. Here's Foster off the front iron.
I'll tell you, Sarr is just so active defensively. His hands are in the cookie jar every possession. And SMU has to remain strong with the basketball because he is just all over it.
Getting his hands on everything. Deflections. Igutolu with the pass downstairs. Toombs will finish it.
I'll tell you, very impressive with SMU without their best player finding a way to stay in this game, and it all started with a strong start.
Toombs has 10, but a quick answer. Sarr continues to have a really nice first half here for Duke. This is their biggest lead today. Igutolu gets position, waits, lost it, taken away by Brown. Foster to drive it, leaning in, no, and no whistle. Quickly, it's Edwards. Pierre, and tipped. The 7-footer couldn't get it to go. Igutolu. Duke by 10. Way downtown, Evans, but no, one and done.
And just a rush shot. That's Sarr did the right thing by slowing it down. Evans should have slowed it down. He should have had a set.
Something that Shire has talked about, settling for the 3 a little bit too much. There's Toombs again, who continues to have a big half. He has 12. And we have a timeout. Just over 3 minutes to go before halftime at Cameron Indoor. Duke's defense waking up. They erased that early deficit. They've been hitting some threes since then.
Ooh. You know, Isaiah Evans, Cameron Boozer. Look, I think the 3-point shooting for Duke is something that they need to continue to improve on. And also, from a playmaker perspective, Seth and I spent a lot of time talking about this. Who makes the game easy for players on the court? And obviously, that could be done collectively. But that's why I keep going back to the point around Cayden Boozer and his progression from just being a game manager on the floor, because it's very natural to him. I think there are some things he needs to continue to improve on defensively, which is why you see him in and out of the rotation, and also being a freshman with that. But, that's where the upside is for this team.
Davis Ray knocking down a jumper. He's made an impact off the bench here for Andy Enfield. He has 4 points. I'll tell you who really shows up. The numbers are better when his brother is on the floor, is Cam Boozer. Statistically, it's almost like a safety blanket. Ngongba leaning inside, follows the miss. Got 2 cracks at it. That's knocked out a play off SMU.
Well, the familiarity, OB, right? The continuity of them playing together for all 4 years of high school. And you just see it. I call it kissy. Keep it simple, youngin', right? Like, a lot of times coaches say, you don't need to thread the needle, just make the simple pass. And I think the more that Cayden Boozer can make the simple passes and then also defensively continue to improve, he'll spend more time on the court.
Cayden Boozer, a little floater. Nice touch there. He has 6 points. That has been his season average, so they're getting a little more scoring out of the freshman from Miami. Davis Ray up top here for Toombs. Igutolu can be tough under there when he gets that position at 7-2, and he is going to turn it over. And another one. That is 14 turnovers. And the travel there. They've had 9 steals, the Blue Devils have.
A lot of the turnovers have just been because they haven't been strong with the ball, and they've been making careless passes.
Ngongba off the dribble. Approaching the 1 minute mark here at Cameron Indoor. Amenya underneath and a slam by Ngongba. Nice two-man game and a dramatic finish. And SMU taking a timeout. It's back up to 10 for Duke.
Well, Cornelia's playing time has decreased over the last several games. We said he was coming back from a foot injury, but great read, great reaction, and what an even greater finish by Ngongba. But when your best player's out, your next best options have to step up. A guy like Jaron Pierre Jr. was the nation's leading returner scorer last year, 22 points per game with Jacksonville State Conference USA Player of the Year. Leads the ACC in shots taken, but today, 1 of 4, only 4 shot attempts for 2 points.
Toombs has provided good offense and a three-pointer for the freshman. 15 points for him. That's the reason they've stayed connected here.
A centerpiece for Andy Enfield, a top 40 recruit, one of the highest rated freshman classes in program history, and he is showing why today.
Out of dynamic prep outside Irving, Texas. So about 5 seconds split between the shot and game clock.
This is where you see Duke invert the ball screen. A guard screening for a big.
But they forgot about number 12. And Cayden Boozer, no one picked him up. 9 points for him off the slam. Way downtown and knocked in and right on cue. That's Pierre. Jaron Pierre, the 6th. Played Maryland 4 different times. And like every one of those games was an all-time classic, including the Miracle Minute, where you guys came back from 10 points down with 54 seconds to win that game.
They were the most worthy adversary that we had. We really respected those guys. We didn't like them, all right, but we knew we had our hands full every single time, and we gave college basketball 4 epic games for them.
Sure did. Underway here in the second half. Shane, delighted to have him with us upstairs, making the long climb up here to the catbird seat at Duke. 41-35. SMU actually shot 58% the first half, and yet trailing by 6 because of 14 turnovers.
Yeah, 4 assists, 14 turnovers, a lot of ISO basketball. They did find a way to punish Duke with points in the paint. But Obi, I got to tell you very quickly, you know, that Miracle Minute was such a great game, not only because of the way we came back, but also because of what Shane Battier said at the end of that game. Because I think deep down he knew we were probably going to see Maryland a couple more times.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, at the end of that game, he said, none of you guys celebrate. We expect to win this game, and that's really the mantra as Isaiah Evans knocks down another 3, averaging 25 points over his last 2 games. But that was the mantra that I think Shane really set as the standard for how we had to compete each and every night.
Boy, to have the leadership and the talent you guys had to lean on. That didn't keep Coach K from throwing you out of practice, though, right?
You know, we were at his house last night, and he saved every one of his practice plans in the last 40 years.
Wow.
And we were searching for all the practice plans where we knew he was going to throw us out of practice. We couldn't find them.
Shot clock violation, more outstanding defense here by Duke. Coach K on hand here today. He was part of the big hug in the middle of the floor here. That was wonderful to see, but really drove you guys. Really drove your team. As gifted as you were, there was no layup on that team.
Well, I mean, we had a sheer extension of Coach K on the floor in bat. And then, you know, I was able to get hot a couple of times, and Shane was able to keep me on the guardrails. Man, this kid is feeling it. Just from shooting the ball from the perimeter, like I said, averaging 25.5 points per game in his last 2 ball games. And it's overall the versatility of his game, actually driving, attacking the rim more this year than what he did last year as a freshman. But I think he's a major differentiator. And Shane, when you look at this Duke team with the likes of Hal Sars putting pressure on the ball and Isaiah Evans knocking down 3s, and then Cayden Boozer, what are your overall thoughts about the ceiling of this Duke basketball team this year?
Well, obviously, a very talented team. They have all the pieces. They have the best player in the country in Cayden Boozer. All right, whenever you have the best player, you got a chance. It's going to come down in conference play and once you get into tournament play is how well they can handle adversity and how well they're going to make shots. And that's going to be what is the determinant for them come March.
I always often wonder about, too, like, you know, from a game manager perspective, you know, the maturity of how you had to help me my freshman year, in particular with Cayden Boozer, right, and making that jump, and Caleb Foster more of a scorer. But like, who can help them calm things down when things get a little bit hectic? Maybe that's maybe it has to be Cam.
Well, look, by the end of your freshman year, before they had air conditioning in Cameron Indoor, okay,
VHS.
We had VHS tape, right? We watched game film on 8mm film. I mean, it was. I mean, this is the Stone Age. The cell phones were sizes of loaves of bread. I mean, this is luxury that these guys get to deal with.
Yes.
I will tell you, luxury, OB. We cracked open a 2001 bottle of Schaefer last night in Coach K's wine cellar.
Oh, Coach K knows
That's
what he's
luxury.
doing. He knows what he's doing.
That's luxury.
Let me tell you about Jay Will, though. Jay Will was an amazing teammate. As talented as he was just one of the best teammates that we had.
Washington, great hustle to pluck it free, and on the drive, he gets hit, heading to the line to shoot two.
And whenever he had the ball, I mean, we just knew we had the best guard on the floor every single game, and that was from his first game at Cameron. Just, you know, people talk about his talent, but the guys who are on that huddle at halftime today, we all know and love Jay Will for just being an amazing teammate.
Well, either I was going to score it or turn it over, pretty much. So at least you knew one of the outcomes.
It's a shot from last night. I wanted to ask both of you guys. You were down 22 in a Final Four game. You mentioned Maryland and all those great games you played, but it was to the Terrapins again. 22 points to them. But because it was them, did that make a difference? You knew you could come back against them because you'd done it.
We were not scared of the 22, although it didn't feel very good. All right, and I really credit our other captain, Nate James, who couldn't be here today. He's coaching Howard. He hit the biggest three of our entire season and just calmed the ship. And the craziest thing about that game is we cut it to 11. All right, Maryland starts arguing. Gary Williams takes off his jacket. He's throwing it around. He's sweating. We're down 11, and we're standing in our huddle. We got them exactly where we want. It was the most bizarre thing, down 11 in the Final Four, saying we have these guys exactly where we want.
Evans, not a heater. Can't hit this one. Rebounded away by SMU. They're still hanging in this thing with 17 minutes to go.
Those are the type of moments where, yes, he's on a bender from shooting the ball from deep. And I get trying to draw the contact, but drive the lane and attack the rim. Show that versatility that he continues to improve on year by year.
Igutolo getting exactly what he wanted in the lane near the 10. He has 6 points. So 47-38. Duke has been trying to break away several times as we visit with the great Shane Battier and Jay Will, of course. The heart and soul of the national champs in 2001. Swished in by Cayden Boozer. He's had a nice day.
Well, he's been doing it on the defensive end, and I think, you know, two players in which their defense has translated into their offense is Damasar and also Cayden Boozer by applying pressure on the ball and getting themselves engaged in the impact of the game.
Sarr lines up a long one, but that clangs away. And Washington out of the pack with it. Trying to cut in. Pierre with the drive will lay it in. And a timeout with 15:58 to go. We're under 16. Shane, thanks so much for joining us. Just a great pleasure.
It's a pleasure. You're lucky to be with the best. Jay
I appreciate
Will,
you, Captain. My man.
You two both the best against an AP top 2 since 2019. So it's been a little while. So the Badgers with a huge one there. Duke on top by 10 and the ball. And the Boozer brothers, Cayden and Cam, playing very well together. We showed you a graphic, if you were with us in the first half, about how they click, and they're doing it again today.
Well, 4 state titles, 3 EYBL championships, and 2 gold medals. I think when you have those types of experiences together, it helps with your rapport on the court.
Semenya will drive it. Shot clock inside 10 as he slams on the brakes. Cayden Boozer again. Gets another one. He's having a good shooting day, and he has 12.
Duke works a lot on those repositions, drive and kicks, and good job by Semenya to step through and not want to be strong with the ball for a kick to the corner.
Edwards, a little turnaround. That'll rattle home. They need a lot more of that from B.J. Edwards.
I'm going to tell you, OB, if Boopie Miller were playing in this game, you know, you have a floor manager, somebody that actually is averaging 21 points, 7 assists, but also gets to the free throw line 7 to 9 times a game. And, you know, it slows down the pace of the ball game. SMU is the real deal.
Cayden again, not this time. SMU ranked number 24. They're in the top 25 for the first time since 2017. And Washington's on target from three-point land. And they just won't quit.
And Corey Washington had an absolute donut in their game against Clemson. And the guy is a 3-and-D player, can knock down some shots from the outside.
Foster with an athletic rebound takes it to the corner and now back inside. 53-45. Amenia again tied up on the double, nearly threw it away. It did eventually get to Foster. Shot clock down to 4. Amenia after the contact, no whistle. Here's Boozer. And too strong. And a whistle with 14:15 left at Cameron Indoor. And they'll get the big Igatolu with his second foul.
Yeah, that's a strong step through I talked about before to find him in the corner. Then Washington and transition, something Duke talked about earlier today. Transition defense was critical for them in getting back to three-point shooters.
Boozer to his right, got it up there, and it goes. He wanted a foul too, but no whistle. 11 for him.
You know, 2 players in the ACC that can play through contact better than anybody. Cameron Boozer, and then they talk about a guy at UVA, Testa Ritter, and one of the best players we have in this league. It's like they can bulldoze their way through a wall and still complete the play.
Edwards quieting the crowd there as he knocks one down to give him a dozen points. He's starting to heat up a little bit. And again, SMU without their top player and one of the best players in the conference coming to Cameron Indoor. And they got off to an 11-0 start in this game. Down the lane, Washington left it short, got it back. Tough angle, draws the foul. And then he will pick up the personal.
Yeah, we talked earlier before about Cameron Boozer reminding me somewhat of Tim Duncan. Not saying he's going to reach that level, but the footwork here, the patience, and that center of gravity, that balance that he has, his core and his legs, even when he gets hit, he never gets thrown off balance. And that's what increases his probability, OB, of getting a ton of and ones.
Somebody out there is going to say, Jay Will just said he's going to be as good as Tim Duncan.
Of course.
That's not what you said.
Yes.
That's the way it works. But if you say, well, there are some comparable skills, and there certainly are. Anybody watching him can pick that out. Washington at the line, and has another one coming.
Well, he's not a high leaper. He plays below the rim, but he's great at attacking angles below the rim, right? And then finishing at the rim. And by the way, that is a form of athleticism. So a lot of times, oh, he's not an elite athlete. Like, what do you mean? He has elite hands. He has elite passing. He has elite shooting. I mean, ask Jokic if he's elite, right? Once again, not comparing Cameron Boozer to Nikola Jokic, right? But there are certain attributes and skill sets that he brings to the table that make him uniquely different than anybody else in college basketball.
Approaching 13 minutes, Cam Boozer straight on with a triple. That's the other part of the game, right? He has 14. He can hit that 3. Duke back on top by 8. Jerron Pierre came in averaging 18 points. And that one missed ugly.
A lot of unassisted baskets for SMU.
Foster, bit of a wild shot there, went one-on-one with a misfire. Edwards beyond the 3. It's only 31% out there, gets the foul line. Gets it downstairs to the 7-footer. Igatolu will draw the foul.
A guard's dream is, we had one play we ran in college, and it was just Shane Battier and I in a high pick and roll. As a guard, when you come off that PNR at the top of the key, if that big helps, you're big like Cameron Boozer or Shane Battier, you're just going to pop. And when they pop, they have the green light to shoot that thing. Talk about guys shooting over 37% from the three-point line. His ability to play inside and out make him an incredible weapon, but also his passing ability. And, you know, he can be utilized. You talk about inverting screens. He runs pick and rolls. The smaller guards set picks for him and then makes reads off those. So his versatility is different.
Now leading Duke in scoring, rebounding, assists, and steals.
His first 15 games of Duke's career, this is what the numbers prove. And you're talking about Zion Williamson and Cooper Flagg, two of the most electrifying freshmen we've had here at Duke University.
Oh, and by the way, playing elite teams, 5 or 6 teams that they've beaten in the top 25. Meanwhile, SMU came here to win this game today, even without their point guard. And 21.7 assists a game, back in the hotel because of flu-like symptoms in Boopie Miller. Well, that's a tough angle shot by Menya, and he's off to the foul line as he banked it in. And Andy Enfield has to admire his team's grit here today nonetheless. Washington's 3rd foul. We chatted with him in the locker before the game. He was very calm. He told us, look, Boopie's sick. So, by the way, Sam Walters not here, the 6'9" junior guy off the bench, very valuable guy.
Got played at Alabama a couple years ago, then played at Michigan, really extends the floor. I mean, he's a unique weapon because of his elite 3-point shooting ability that, along with Boopie Miller, make them a dangerous combination when they're on the floor together. But there's no doubt SMU is one of the top-tier teams in the ACC. You think about UVA in that category, Clemson definitely in that category, North Carolina still want to see their guard play make improvement, but Caleb Wilson, one of the top players in the country as well.
They got it to Toombs right there inside the foul line. He knocks it down. He's had a great game with 17 points. It's a new career high for the freshman. And a 6-point game. And Washington will pick up another foul, trying to guard the freshman. So we have 11:35 to go. Still very much a game that many thought Duke would run away with by this point. Cayden Boozer starting to show the full range of skills getting underway. And
Wisconsin beating Michigan today.
Yes, huge one for the Badgers. Out of the timeout, Evans, that barely nicked the 10.
You think Miami has a chance against Indiana? I mean, they have just been smacking people in the CFP. It's unbelievable.
Now, Miami's so physical, but they're going to have a lot of things go right to hang in that game. Indiana does everything to perfection. Toombs again, 19 points for the freshman.
Well, Toombs doing a great job of just really working when the ball is rotated from the weak side and carving out space down low on the block.
Underneath Ngongba, he'll slam that down off the feed from Cayden Boozer. SMU keeping this crowd rather quiet so far today, with the crazies coming back after the school break. Toombs again. Edwards shovels it back to the freshman, and 2 more. He is the man today. 21 points. Well, they needed, Jay, somebody to show up with all the talent they lost to the flu. He has.
Well, you talk about shooting percentages here. SMU is shooting 55% from the 3-point line and close to 60% from the field.
Ngongba again to his right, and he finishes. He comes in 11 and 6 per game. Can he be more than that offensively for Jon Scheyer?
Well, Jon Scheyer wants him to be a bit more with that, but that comes with prioritizing him getting touches on the block. And sometimes Duke gets into a 3-point shooting frenzy, and due to their positionless style of basketball, you forget that you have a guy like Ngongba or a guy like Cayden Boozer that deserve multiple touches on the block.
Evans will draw the foul on the penetration. 64-58 Duke.
This is what you love right here. Look how Toombs cracks into Boozer, and he seals, and then he gets big for the ball. Great pass, great post-entry pass, which is something we don't talk a lot about in college basketball anymore. And then the interior passing of Duke. Once again, Cayden Boozer catching the ball in that short corner with a nice little wraparound pass. His ability to see things and react in real time is what makes him elite.
Evans with a rare miss. He's 90% at the foul line, the sophomore. Well, as of Friday, in the NCAA net rankings, 13 ACC teams were among the top 70. That's the most in college basketball. 8 are in the top 40, tied for the most of any conference. We've talked about the league bouncing back in a serious way this season. SMU's a big part of that.
I think you're going to have multiple teams that see the second weekend of the NCAA tournament. And And I'm willing to say this, and I know every team goes through their ebbs and flows. I think Duke is the best team in the ACC right now, top to bottom. I think UVA is the second best team. I really do. Ryan Odom has done an exquisite job with this team. Testa Ritter is one of the best bigs in the country. And their older, their mature guard play is what can make them very dangerous when it comes to March.
Pierre will knock down another one.
You got a game, man.
And every time it looks like Duke has an opportunity to make a run, one of those patented runs, particularly in this building. Well, here comes SMU again.
Well, what has SMU been able to do? They've been able to take care of the basketball. You know, they had 14 assists, 14 turnovers, excuse me, but the last 9 to 10 possessions, they've been strong with the ball.
Ngongba pounding his way, a little fall away shot, draws a foul. Just under 9 minutes. Taking a look at your top of the ACC coming into play on this Saturday.
Think about, these are the teams I think have a chance to be elite when it comes to March. Obviously, Louisville still trying to figure out their situation with Mikel Brown Jr. I do swear, OB, it feels like that gets more interesting by the second to watch if he's going to play or not. Like I said, UVA in that conversation. Clemson, they do it by their collective. Defensively, they just smother you. And obviously, their inside-out play is what makes them elite. And then I think North Carolina's in that conversation as well with SMU.
Duke, by the way, tied for the national lead with 5 quad 1 wins. And Ngongba swishes that one in. So back up to 7 for Duke. Ngongba maybe a little message today, did not get the start. His 13 points. Edwards has it knocked away, and a foul on him. Taken away by Malik Brown. 8:45 to go.
And that's a special sauce that you get when this lineup with Sarr and Brown are on the court together. They're exponentially better defensively. Because Sarr is able to apply pressure on the ball. You've seen him get so many deflections thus far in this game. But also that relentless pursuit, and then off any screen, Brown's hands are so active. He's always reaching and blocking shots and communicating. It reminds me a lot of how Shane Battier played, because he's constantly communicating to the guards about where the screens are coming from left or from the right.
Of course, they track deflections. He leads Duke with more than 80 of those. Duke taking their time on this possession. Cayden Boozer played really well with the basketball today. Lobs that one out and commits the turnover, picked off by Pierre, and right back. That's going to be 18 turnovers for SMU. School getting underway here on the Duke campus on Monday, so the Crazies returning for this weekend game against also a nationally ranked opponent, SMU number 24. Ngongba, yes! 15 points for the 6'11" sophomore. Edwards knocked away by the always active Malik Brown. He covered a lot of ground to get to that one and knock it into the stands.
Ngongba just absolutely taking his time. Scream and one. His post presence has been nasty in this.
Duke initially, because SMU came out of the gate like a house on fire and took an 11-0 lead in this thing.
Let's see what SMU has at ATO.
It's reversing field, and will lay that one up and in. B.J. Edwards with the basket for 16 points today.
Okay, Edwards and Pierre Jr. and Washington, they've been so impressive today without having a floor manager on the floor.
Well, that young man has been terrific today. Jaden Toombs, 21 points. And off the front of the iron, that won't fall for Sarr. So Duke on top, 69-62, but the Mustangs with the basketball. They have been very gritty today. Pierre on Cayden Boozer and gave it up.
A great job by Ngongba meeting him there at that short corner. And Pierre Jr. just taking his eyes off the ball, being a little bit loose with it. Cayden Boozer getting the hand in there.
SMU the 19th turnover. Saar off a good fake. Cayden Boozer. Brown zips another pass to Saar. Trying to wriggle free. Knocked away and turned it over. And a nice save right on the sideline by Edwards.
Well, a lot of this becomes the challenges for Duke is when Cameron Boozer isn't in the game, who's able to initiate the offense and who calms everybody down. They go to a lot of dribble penetration, but it doesn't seem like they have a dynamic ball handler that can create for others and make the game simplistic.
SMU, by the way, really getting tested this part of their schedule in succession. Nothing but tough opponents. North Carolina, Clemson, which was a loss the other day, Duke, and upcoming Virginia Tech and Virginia. So
it like doesn't get easier in the ACC.
Does not this season, that is for sure. And a shove from behind, that'll be on Ngongba. So pick up the personal. So for Andy Enfield and company, a difficult run. Including that game, of course, against Virginia, top 25 opponent on January 17. Virginia Tech, no picnic either. Nigatolu with the handoff. Pierre running into traffic down to a knee. Edwards looking for space to operate. Working on the freshman who reaches in at a whistle and a foul. This was 6 on the shot clock, so a bit of a bailout there.
Yeah, those are the possessions John Shiloh talked a lot about earlier today. Just when the shot clock gets to 8 or less, just remaining disciplined and not just reaching, but then just say force a contested shot.
Cayden Boozer with the foul. Edwards 75% at the line, shooting the 1-and-1 and makes number 1. You really have to wonder what's going through the mind of Boopie Miller right now, aside from the fact that he's looking for medication for his flu. But watching this game, realizing the impact a guy like that would have had today, in all likelihood.
Yeah, if I were Boopie, I would be thinking to myself, hey, look, I get it. I'm sick right now with the flu. I don't feel well. I couldn't play today. But we are competing against the best team on their home court in the ACC. We have a chance to be the team in the ACC when I'm back and healthy.
Well, it's been impressive. A battle at midcourt. It comes free, and who has it?
The SMU ball. They should challenge that.
So 5:50. SMU with a coach's challenge. Take a look.
Yeah, that's off Cayden Boozer right here. It's from watching so much basketball, seeing things in real time. That right hand, it gets those fingertips on it right there, which this call should be reversed, and that should be SMU ball.
So the officials at the monitor. New rule this year. Going to have a timeout in order to call for a coach's challenge.
Right there. Yep, you see that middle finger and ring finger right on top of the ball, right there. And also, if you look at the ball, the rotation of the ball, the rotation of the ball changes. You're not going to see it from that angle, but right there slightly changes.
It did.
Right, because it's going on a 45-degree angle, and then it steers out straight. Yep.
Well, we'll see if this crew agrees with you as they take a look with 5:53 remaining and Duke leading by 5. Will SMU win this challenge? And if they do win it, they retain a challenge.
Now, Roger and company, this is the referee crew they have out there. So Roger tells me all the time he works out, he's on top of it, and I believe in them wholeheartedly. They'll come to the right conclusion.
Duke coming in number 6. SMU ranked in the top 25 at number 24. They've had a big win against North Carolina in conference play. And they've got a decision on this. Here's the final look.
After review, the challenge is successful. It'll be SMU ball in the backcourt with 30 seconds.
It's a clear call. I told you Roger would come through.
So the Mustangs continue to be a very tough out here, and with eyes on an upset victory here this afternoon at Cameron Indoor. Ed Lashley, the SMU head football coach, in attendance. Everybody wants to get to Cameron at some point. B.J. Edwards giving it up. Ugitolu into the painted area, and a whistle. And an offensive foul with 5:41 to go.
Yeah, you're going to see him just extend that left elbow. He gets down here. Doesn't need to do that. He's 270 pounds. If he just keeps that elbow attached to his body and turns, he will naturally move Malik Brown out the way.
SMU with a season high 20 turnovers with 5.5 minutes to go.
And 20 turnovers and 8 assists and down 5 points.
Evans wide open, can't sink it. Boozer battling for the rebound and hit. And Boozer yanking down 10 rebounds a game. He is the #1 scorer in the country at 23 points a game. Draws the foul on the 7-footer. Ugitolu with number 4.
Well, both Toombs and Ugitolu, when that ball was up in the air, they were staring at the flight of the ball. While they were staring at the ball, Cayden Boozer was carving out position to get the offensive rebound.
Big loss in the middle for the Mustangs. Samet Ugitolu, the 7'2" sophomore from Istanbul, and he's in deep foul trouble. Going to be tipped out off the Duke Blue Devils. Last time SMU had a lead in the game, the score was 17-16. Biggest Duke lead has been 13 today. Edwards driven away. Back for Pierre.
Malik Brown is hedging so hard on every ball screen.
Edwards. That won't drop. Battle for the rebound. Comes free to Cayden Boozer. Foster went for the bounce, and a good stop there by Toombs, who's had a great game.
Yeah, just great job reading the eyes of Caleb Foster, who telegraphed that pass to the short corner.
Edwards almost gave it away. Bounce feed off the fake, and a foul by Boozer. That'll put SMU to the line. The last 7 or 8 minutes has become very much a rock fight. Cayden Boozer's 3rd foul, incidentally.
Yeah, Cayden Boozer just falling asleep defensively. Washington with a great back cut. Can be hard to see from this angle, but Boozer just caught standing up, staring at the ball. Washington recognizing that and finding a way to get to the free throw line. And those are the plays from an endurance conditioning perspective, especially as a younger player. Staying down in the stance, seeing man-u ball is something that this team needs to continue to work on. Obviously, we're in January. It's a long season, but veteran players see players take their eyes off and hit you with back cuts, and that's what makes them different.
Corey Washington at the line, 83%. SMU's a good foul shooting team, 77%. Jaden Toombs, 21 points. Perfect at the 3-point line. He has also added 7 rebounds. He's 9 of 10 shooting it. And this is a freshman who came in averaging 7 points a game.
He chose SMU over Alabama, Miami, Texas. 7'3" wingspan. And him and Jermaine O'Neal Jr. both lost to the Boozer twins in the Chipotle National Finals last April. And I don't care what anybody says. When you lose in national finals games, you remember that. And that is a mark. And there is a mark he has for Cayden Boozer and Cayden Boozer, and wants to show it. He's been proving it today.
This is a 3-point game. 69-66 coming up on 4 minutes to go. Cayden Boozer for Ngongba. Into that lane and another whistle. So everybody in the painted area is getting hacked on both sides here down the stretch. That foul on B.J. Edwards, number 2.
Well, it was the right intention by Edwards. When Ngongba puts the ball down the ground, you need to dig down, but you wait for him to actually start the dribble before you go in, and just missed the line on timing.
He makes 65% at the line.
I tell you, the more I watch him play, yes, Duke has, a traditional 5 in Ngongba, but the touch he has around the rim, the patience he's shown, getting to intentional positions on the court, and a back to the basket type of player, there's a lot of upside with Ngongba.
17 points today. He was held to 4 points in a game against Louisville. They had to rally from 9 down at half to win. Toombs with another touch on Boozer. The tip won't go for Washington. It's corralled by Duke. They lead at 71-66. Under 4 left. Cayden Boozer bouncing for Evans. Deflected away by Edwards. Duke will retain possession. 3.5 to go. Remains a tight game, even though the Mustangs are so dreadfully shorthanded.
Yeah, I think it talks a lot about how talented SMU is. I mean, obviously the likes of Jaden Toombs, who is playing incredibly well today, like with B.J. Edwards, and Pierre Jr., who hasn't been able to score like he typically has, but yet they find themselves only down 5 points.
And with the ball here, approaching 3 minutes to go. There's Pierre. Gatolu playing with 4 fouls. Banging with Ngongba. Shot clock down to 5 in the lane to his right. And a travel.
Scouting report said for him that he only turns over the left shoulder. If you're watching this move, he needs to continue to work on his game. Look, easy over the right shoulder. Turn over the right shoulder. Bucket. Turn over the right shoulder.
21 turnovers for the Mustangs. Cayden Boozer. Foster back to him. Ngongba over the top. Tried for the lob. And Boozer couldn't quite get to it.
It just wasn't a precise pass. Just kind of tossed it up there.
Here's Edwards. Back for Pierre. Way downtown, but short. Rebound right back to him. He'll drive it, scoop it, and he's got 2. And don't look now. With about 2 minutes to go, it is a 3-point game at Cameron Indoor.
Gatolu did a great job there sealing Ngongba, opening in that lane for a drive.
They go inside to the money man, and Cayden Boozer knocks in 2. 16 points. B.J. Edwards.
Slip look opposite.
It's Toombs.
Those are the plays.
That'll rattle in 2 more for him. So a spectacular game. 23 points. Came in averaging 7.
Once again, Gatolu there able to slip that screen, turn face, look opposite, and found Toombs for. He has such a nice soft touch around the rim.
Minute 25 to play. Duke has been unable to break away today. SMU as sticky as it gets. Here's Evans. Got it! A money triple. 17 for him. And Duke with a little breathing room here. 76-70. And Enfield wants a timeout. With 1:07 on the clock.
The power of inverting the screen. Look how he actually hits the defender. SMU is forced to help. He slips to the weak side. And that is what Isaiah Evans does. A flamethrower at 6'6". Great job. And that's the ability of Cayden Boozer to be somebody that can be used as a decoy because of his great passing ability.
Evans at 28 against FSU. And at 23 against Louisville. So he came in cooking. Well, the Blue Devils highlight our ACC Network Wednesday tripleheader. Pitt taking on Georgia Tech at 7. And Caleb Wilson, number 17, North Carolina, up against Stanford. Finally, the Blue Devils will be at Haas Pavilion in a late one at 11 Eastern against Cal. They take their California trip, playing 2 opponents. And all 3 also available on the ESPN app.
No ACC opponent has gotten out of the West Coast trip winning both games. They've all came back 1-1. So we'll see for both North Carolina and Duke how they handle both Cal and Stanford.
Well, meanwhile, Duke trying to make it 25 straight home wins, but they've had a fight today from top 25 SMU. And the Mustangs put it in as we approach 1 minute to play, and they trail by 6. B.J. Edwards gives up the dribble. Pierre out of the double. Edwards off the fake. The look away off the window. It won't go. Foster with the rebound. Under 50 seconds to go.
We got to push up and foul.
Eventually do with 42 seconds to go to put Duke at the foul line.
And B.J. Edwards knows that he missed a chippy right there. Had an open lane. Tried to lay it high off the glass. Just couldn't find a way to finish it. But him and Toombs have been great carrying the load offensively today for the Mustangs.
So Cayden Boozer 4 out of 5 at the line today. 77%. We'll sink the first. Let's check in with Kev back in the studio. Kev, thank you. And 18 points for Boozer. He has earned those points today. Came in averaging 23.
Well, every time you play or when you do a broadcast, you're not going to win an Emmy, but sometimes you have to win ugly. And I think that's what Duke is able to find a way with the Boozer twins and the way they participating this afternoon. Cameron Boozer, a guy that can do it inside and out. And then we talked about the familiarity of the experiences that both Cameron and Cayden have had together being on the floor. And you've seen that in the improvement of Cameron Boozer's numbers efficiency-wise when Cayden's on the floor. And when Cayden's able to knock down
Against North Carolina, had he been able to play today?
Well, they would have had 21 turnovers, I'll tell you that, if we were on the court.
Had 27 points and 12 assists in that win. Washington lines up a triple. He hits it. They just won't quit today. 78-73. Pressure on the ball to Foster. Away for Boozer. And back to his brother to kill some more clock.
Got a foul. Got a foul.
Finally due with 20 seconds to go.
That's how, you know, I get that you try with the first trap to get a pass over the top for a quick steal, but if you don't get that steal, you have to, that's an automatic foul. And too much time went up the clock from the time they inbound that ball to the time Isaiah Evans got fouled.
Duke getting it to their best foul shooter too, Isaiah Evans, who hits 90%. Sophomore out of Fayetteville, North Carolina, drains the first.
I tell you, his body type very much reminds me of Brendan Ingram. And calling him slim, just you know, that shot making ability. Obviously, I think Brandon could do more off the bounce, which you're starting to see the full level of Isaiah Evans' game. But the length, the sides is a differentiator.
Yeah, the nickname Slim. Lately, he's been the Slim Reaper, man. Piling up points on the drive and missing the stuff was Edwards with 10 seconds to go. 9.6, and he'll commit the foul. B.J. Edwards going for the slam. Decided not to lay it in. He missed it. 80-73, and Duke salting this one away at the foul line. 9.6 on the clock, and Evans to shoot again.
Well, Dave, I tell you, it's been an incredible experience coming back to Cameron Indoor Stadium, obviously celebrating our 25-year national championship reunion. former teammates with Shane Battier and Mike Dunleavy and Carlos Boozer, to think about, you know, watching Carmani and Cayden and Cameron when they were born, now to seeing them play in the same jersey their father wore is a pretty special moment. And I just want to say thank you for the opportunity of you letting me experience this on the broadcast.
Well, I thought it was great, and the affection between you and Shea Battier, very, very, very genuine coming through today.
Well, for the amount of times he yelled at me, it's finally time he gave me some damn affection.
Well, so we went to the Wayback Machine, but looking forward to the Duke Blue Devils as they are now 15-1, 4